what is the proper way to treat my husband after a discovery? I would never use the word proper, because how proper is it that he's acting out sexually, right? So most women react by either going into fight or flight or going into freeze. So fight or flight would look like uncontrollable emotions, like freaking out, basically freaking out, right? In various forms. Freeze would look like withdrawing, building walls, maybe sleeping all the time, or being like entering into a state where you feel like numb and you can't function. Neither of these is who you truly really are, but I don't think that you can necessarily stop these reactions from happening, because that is your God-given survival strategy when you feel threatened. And you will feel threatened when you find out that your husband has broken the covenant, has been acting out with others, and or is addictively using pornography and taking his sexuality outside the marriage. That is threatening to your relationship. And it is legitimate and normal to respond with a trauma response. That being said, the more you practice your grounding strategies that we teach you in Women in the Battle, the more you can get back to your true self and operate from thoughtful decision-making in your frontal lobe. However, every new discovery or disclosure is probably going to thrust you right back into a trauma response. That's just because it's threatening. It's not realistic to expect that you're going to respond in a logical, thoughtful way, because that's contradictory to what is happening in your brain when it feels threatened. This is one reason why a lot of women after a discovery or disclosure end up asking for a therapeutic separation, because that proximity of the very person who is harming you and hurting you creates a constant chronic fight or flight reaction in them. It just doesn't feel safe. Needing that space is sometimes really helpful, or an in-house separation can be really helpful. I wonder if there's part of you, or maybe church people or whatever, that are telling you you should react with love and kindness and forgiveness and gentleness and faithfulness and self-control and all the fruits of the Spirit. I understand, especially when we're wanting to over-spiritualize what is happening. But what I'll tell you is, while the fruits of the Spirit are legitimately love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, what you're dealing with here is so complex. At all times, Jesus was all things good, right? He was love, perfect love embodied in a person. And yet we find him when he's discovering that the temple, his father's house, has been used and abused. Instead of being just a place for worship and connection with God, it's used as a marketplace. And there's all these people doing their business inside the marketplace, trying to earn money off of the act of worship. And he goes in and he ransacks the temple, drives out the lenders. He drives out the people selling their stuff. That doesn't sound very loving to me, but that was Jesus, and he was sinless and perfect and loving. So here's my point. Sometimes there is a stereotypical way that we are expected to react to be godly, especially as women. Like, it's okay for a man to get angry, right? And show his power and strength, but not okay for a woman. That's a cultural construct. Jesus was angry because there was injustice. And in his anger, he did not sin. So I'm asking you, is it possible for your anger or your sadness to be a reasonable response to the injustice of the betrayal? And is there a way you could be congruent with what you're really feeling, which is deep sadness, and have that be okay to show your husband how he has impacted you? I think it's really important to acknowledge the fact that you're going to have anger as a result of this unjust, dangerous, covenant-breaking, huge mortal wound that you're dealing with, and that is okay. It's a normal response.